Hello and welcome to the news updates on AFRICUNIA television, reaching from the nation's commercial capital, Lagos, Nigeria. My name is Deborah Ezeh. Looking into the African scene, we begin from Nigeria, where the All Progressives Congress (APC) and the People's Democratic Party (PDP) prepare to hold their national convention. While the two-day presidential primary of the PDP begins on Saturday, May 28th, the ruling APC will start its own exercise the day after on May 29th, all in the bid to conclude the processes, including appeal by aggrieved aspirants before the deadline for submission of candidates for all offices to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). Already, about 40 aspirants of both major parties are rounding off the nationwide tour and intensification of efforts to capture majority of the voting delegates in the bid to nick the presidential tickets of either the APC or PDP. In the PDP, the aspirants have expressed hopes that from their interaction with delegates, they are the preferred choice of most voters. However, many presidential hopefuls have indicated that they will abide by the decision of the party, including a consensus that is based on equity, justice, and fairness. Still in Nigeria, despite challenges occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic, the Nigerian banking industry has remained resilient, delivering 15.6% and 6.8% growth in total assets and profits respectively in the first half of 2021. The Chairman Board of Directors of the Bank of Industry stated this while declaring open the 62nd Annual General Meeting of the bank held in Abuja yesterday. Dikko further said that the total lending to the private sector increased by 18.5%, that is 5.58 trillion naira year-on-year to 35.73 trillion naira in December 2021, up from 30.15 trillion naira in 2020. He said the increase in private sector lending was supported by the growth of business activities of the fintech and tech-based companies. Reviewing BOI financial performance, the managing director of the Bank of Industry, Olukayode Peter, said total assets reduced from 1.86 trillion naira in 2020 to 1.71 trillion naira in the year under review. The 8.2% decline was as a result of the reduction in debt, securities, and cash balance at the CBN as payments of our syndicated loans continued. Loans and advance improved by 4.1% to 779.3 billion naira from 748.94 billion naira in 2022 or 2020 due to the increased intervention and support to enterprises. Total equity also grew by 14.2% to 382.52 billion naira from 334.96 billion naira in 2021. Moving on, the new special representative of the UN Secretary General in the Central African Republic, Valentine Rugwabiza, called Wednesday for a readjustment of the UN force to protect civilians, victims of abuses by all parties to the conflict in the country. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, and several groups of independent UN experts have denounced serious human rights violations against civilians committed by rebel groups, but also by regime armed forces and their Russian allies. The new representative also emphasized the worrying humanitarian situation, indicating that the humanitarian response plan for 2022, estimated at $461 million, needed or needs to be funded more than ever because only 22% of the necessary funds have been made available so far. Still on the African scene, a 16-member ECOWAS delegation has been in Burkina Faso since Tuesday, May 17th, to continue its analysis of the national situation. This delegation, led by the Ghanaian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sri Lanka, and the President of the ECOWAS Commission, Jean-Claude Cassi, is composed of experts in the military and security, humanitarian and political fields. The ruling junta subsequently asked for a military, political, and humanitarian mission from ECOWAS to assess the national situation before deciding on its request to shorten the transition period. The junta has set a 3-year transition period before elections are held, but ECOWAS wants the duration to be reduced. It had asked Burkina Faso at the end of March to give a new reasonable timetable for the transition by 25th April, but the junta has asked for more time. Away from the African scene, we now head to the foreign scene, where Sri Lanka Prime Minister has warned of a food shortage as the highland nation battle a devastating economic crisis and vowed the government will buy enough fertilizer for the next planting season to boost harvest. A decision in April last year by President Gotabaya to ban all chemical fertilizers drastically cuts crop yields, and although the government has reversed the ban, no substantial imports have yet taken place. The central bank governor said on Thursday foreign exchange has been secured from a World Bank loan and remittances to pay for fuel and cooking gas shipments, but supplies are still to flow through. Inflation could rise to a staggering 40% in the next couple of months, but it was being driven largely by supply-side pressures, and measures by the bank and government were already reining in demand-side inflation. Moving on, lawmakers from Poland's ruling coalition agreed to judicial reforms the government says will unblock billions of euros in European Union funding, helping an economy grappling with the effects of the pandemic and war in Ukraine. Over 35 billion euros of COVID recovery grants and loans have been put on hold due to a dispute with Brussels over the rule of law. But Warsaw has said it had reached agreements on terms to unblock the funds and expects approval from the EU in the coming days. The bill would replace the disciplinary chamber of the Supreme Court, which critics say is politicized, with a new body. The European Union says Warsaw must implement a ruling from the bloc top court that requires it to dissolve the chamber in order to get the funds. The top court has imposed fines on Poland of 1 million euros a day for failing to do so. Critics also say the reform does not go far enough in ensuring judges are not subject to political pressure, as Parliament may vote on the bill before the end of the month. The group of 7 financial leaders agreed on Thursday on $18.4 billion to help Ukraine pay its bills in coming months, and said they were ready to stand by Kyiv throughout its war with Russia and do more if needed. Finance minister and central bank governors of the United States, Japan, Canada, Britain, Germany, France and Italy, the G7, are holding talks as Ukraine, invaded by Russia on February 24th, is struggling to fend off the attack and is running out of cash. The war has been a game changer for Western powers, forcing them to rethink decades-old relations with Russia, not only in terms of security, but also in energy, food and global supply alliances, from microchips to rare earth. More broadly, the G7 policymakers are wrestling with questions of how to contain inflation and increase sanction pressure on Russia without causing recession. We now head to the sports scene, where Crystal Palace manager Patric Vieira was involved in an altercation with an Everton fan following a pitch invasion at Goodison Park. Everton had come from behind to beat Palace 3-2 and secure their Premier League survival, leading to a mass pitch invasion of fans. Patrick was walking across the pitch towards his team's dressing room at the other side of the ground when an Everton fan approached him, prompting a reaction from the Palace boss. Meanwhile, Everton manager Frank Lampard added, "I feel for Patrick and I didn't get him to shake hands at the end because of the reaction. He ran across the pitch 80 yards in front of our fans, but there's no issue. Just pure elation from our fans at staying in the league." The incident took place on the same evening that Swindon head coach Ben Garner claimed his players were physically and verbally abused by Port Vale supporters who stormed the pitch following a side League 2 playoff semi-final defeat at Vale Park. And finally, Mbappe will announce his decision over his future on French television on Sunday, as Mbappe is expected to reveal whether he will extend his Paris Saint-Germain contract or join Real Madrid on a free transfer. The 23-year-old is set to play for PSG on Saturday in their final game of the season against Metz. Mbappe suggested last week that he was close to revealing his next move. PSG are reported to have offered him a highly lucrative new deal, while Real Madrid have returned after having been rejected for the France international last summer. And that concludes the news updates on AFRICUNIA television. Do follow all our social media platforms on Jointim, Pangram, Instagram, and on Facebook in that respective order. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, and leave a comment for us on the comment section. Once again, I am Deborah Ezeh. Have a beautiful weekend.